In this video, I'd like to talk about a good luck starter that easily navigates through the game's content from X to Uber bosses, Simulacrum and other. The build has a very smooth progression and you can easily complete the Atlas and get 4 white stones. In the POB links under the video, you can see my early game, mid game build, a starting setup with Doryani Increase and the final version of the build. Let's start with how Absolution works. It's a minion ability that deals lightning damage. Before patch 3.2.7 and specifically the addition of Bloodline subclasses, it was quite awkward to use. But now with the Bloodline Chaos Ascendancy, we can get a high duration of Innocence uptime towards 50 seconds. We'll have 6 charges of this ability, allowing us to maintain Innocence for over of 250 seconds, more than enough to complete any map or boss. The only exception is the Simulacrum, where even this time won't be enough. But on a high build we can achieve virtually constant sustained duration with soul privation lasting only 30 seconds and Innocence lasting 25 seconds. Ultimately, after using all the charges, we'll have a downtime of only 5 seconds and then we'll start gain Vaal souls again. Innocence itself is a very strong minion with a huge single damage and excellent clear, exceeding the limits of 1 or 2 screens thanks to its main ability with the built-in Awakened Spell Cascade. It's also practically immortal thanks to its built-in 70% damage reduction. I've never had it die in my entire time with it. On top of that, Innocence abilities look incredibly cool compared to most of the summoning spells in the game. Having picked up this skill game in first act, we can use it on the altar of desecration in act 2, hoping to get the Vaal version. Getting it will solve any problems we have with bosses. By the way, at leveling I'd prefer to use Raging Spirits first and then switch to Absolution after getting Eldritch Battery and several nodes for minion damage and duration. At the beginning of the first currency map expansion, we covered the lack of resistance with cheap array items like rings and belts. We also tried to buy cheap 6-link body with armor and energy sheet base as soon as possible. This will make it much easier to get the desired second colors. And most importantly, we should get the Chaos Bloodline subclass as soon as possible. For this we'll need just 2 scraps and at least minimal damage and survivability to complete 10 weaves of trials and kill the trial master afterward. The next we take the passive ability Corruption Embrace, resetting Bone Barrier or Commander of Darkness if you have enough extra resistance. Alternatively, you can reset both of these abilities and also take Priest of Yawmak to improve Innocence sustain and make its summoning much more comfortable overall due to the small node for gain 1 Vaal soul per second. You can also optionally buy the cheap unique Javel at Zir's Reign. It will further increase the sustain of the Vaal ability, guaranteeing you enough charges and summoning duration for any map or boss with stages. Don't forget that for the first line of the Corruption Embrace ability to work, we need to have at least 4 corruption items in our inventory. Flasks and Javels is not considered. Considering that build initially only includes cheap rare and unique items, you can either corrupt them yourself or buy ready-made corruption ones. This shouldn't be a big problem later on, as there are always plenty of corrupted unique items needed for a build on the trade. I also recommended first buying a rare intellect-based shield with +1 to all lightning spell games property and ended craft +3000 to armor during soul gain prevention. Since we'll be almost constantly under the effect of soul gain prevention, add intelligence-based shields give us an extra 3000 flat armor for free. This will greatly increase our survivability until we upgrade it to something more useful. Now let's talk about Spectres. They provide a significant amount of damage. For the early game, Carnage Chieftain is very useful. You will raise him in Act 2 on all fields. You can start with 2 of these to ensure constant sustain of frenzy charges on maps and bosses. With the minimum budget, you should buy a ritual corpse called Perfect Spirit of Fortune. It will give you minions a free Rust and like a damage are only for lightning damage. In total they will give more than 50% more damage. Perfect for a Swarer is also a good choice. It has an Onslaught Aura and a Cooling Strike ability, very useful against bosses. After we need to find enemy corpse, call it the Burned Cleric. It appears on maps under the influence on the Crusader, so it's essential to buy a map with this influence and completely clear it in search of the Spectre. It has a strong arrow granted 20% of extra lightning damage and an additional chance to shock. However, this arrow works in a small radius around the ghost itself and is clearly visible. However, since we're using communication with an automatic with a minimal cooldown, both Innocence and the Cleric will almost always teleport to each other, especially in bosses. Considering this, arrow is practically always active on Innocence. In a later crit build, we remove Perfect Force Warrior Incarnate Shift Time from the build and instead use Perfect Force Tiger from the Haste Arrow and Frenzy Charges, and Host Shift 10 for energy charges regeneration, as without them we don't be able to achieve the required 100% of crit chance for our minions. After the latest game updates, Spectres have become practically immortal, so they can be used without links to mid shield and minion life. However, we need to reach level 25 of this respective gem as quickly as possible, as only at that level we'll be able to have 4 spectres at once. A bone melt amulet with plus to all minion games is useful for this, also that provides 36% to global defense. You can also buy an Empower Support Gem, which at level 3 will give us an extra 2 levels of linked spells. I think a level 21 Ray Spectre gem with that quality will be quite cheap. The unique armor skin of the Lords is a great choice for a mid-game build. It will greatly increase the level of your main ability all the way to 35. Be sure to look for the Eldritch Battery version, they will save us a lot of free points in the tree. Look at the red sockets colors, 2 red and 4 blues. Science will be adding Empower to the main links. One obvious advantage of this armor is that it's corrupted by default, which is essential for us. You can optionally swap out the bone melt by a Dragonfence Flight replica, but only if you can otherwise reach level 25 in your Ray Spectre. Now let's talk about Animate Guardian, which will also provide us with many useful buffs. Starting items like Last Cast and Embrace are available for him at the beginning, but I'd prefer to give him a sign of the Senator's Scepter in one hand and Scepter with the Synthesis property. You and nearby allies deal any percent increased damage in the other hand. Later you can buy Nebulous with the same property, but its damage value will be much higher. And naturally, the best weapon for Animate Guardian is Kinsmaker. As for armor, any that increases overall survivability will do it first, but ideally we need the Garb of Ephemeral, which provides 2 very useful hours to crit immunity and immunity to slow of action speed below base value for us and our minions. If we want to maximize the Animate Guard survivability, we need the Mask of the Siege Demon helmet, which combined with the Necromancer's plus ability Bone Barrier will have him massive health regeneration. Now let's talk about how the Animate Guard can improve your clearing. We equip him with the Azenat's Gentle Touch, gloves and Windscreen boots. And we definitely start using the alternate version of the skill, which uses Smite. When you switch your Animate Guard to the alternate version, all equipment items are returned, so don't worry about that. So, using Smite, Animate curses all packs of monsters, triggering chains of explosions that greatly boost your clearing. You can start planning your first major purchase. Personally, in the last league, not feeling the damage should fall, I decided to address the build survivability issue and simply bought Svalin. It's a shield with a lucky block property, giving us excellent survivability rate. With it you can afford to go AFK in Ultimate, in Simulacrum and similar mechanics, and also simply do much less often in any situations. But you can choose a different build path, moving to an early build with Doryani. To do this you'll need to remove all lightning resistances from your build and buy mirror rings, which should give you at least minus 200 lightning resistance. It's also advisable to have useful stats on these rings, such as health resistance on increases to attack speed, cast speed and damage for minions. A perfect ring for this build will likely be very expensive, over 150 or 200 divines, but you'll only need to buy one, and the second slot buy Calendar's Touch ring, which will simply copy your ring. When moving on to the Doryanic build, we can also switch to the crit setup. To do this, we'll need to swap out Bone Offering for Spirit Offering and add Assassin's Mark to the trigger, which will give us a huge boost to crit chance and critical multiplier. However, we'll lose a significant chance to block attacks and spells, which we'll need to compensate for in other ways. Tempest Shield and Cluster Jewels, especially Megalomaniacs, will help with this. You can also use a cheap unique Jewel Reckless Defense. Don't forget that with the removal of Bone Offering, the survivability of our minions will also drop sharply, so we take the Decay Ward node and preferably buy the Jewel Fortress Covenant. In total, this will give the minions over 40 chance to block, which is quite enough for their survivability. Place your abilities on the wand in this order: Desecrate at the top, Spirit Offering in the middle, and Assassin's Mark at the bottom. When using abilities, your triggering will be triggered from top to bottom. This way, we can use a routine jar on pinnacle bosses to summon a regular Absolution minion, triggering Desecrate. Then, by activating the Vaal version, we'll trigger Spirit Offering. This will leave us with a free trigger for Assassin's Mark, which we activate using Absolution's main ability as soon as the boss appears. Many players on Absolution prefer to use the Dawnbreaker shield and the Timeless Javel with Divine Flash Keystone to full convert lightning damage taken to the fire damage. Personally, I prefer using Svalin because it gives a lot of defense against any attack sources in the game, and I also use the partial conversion of lightning damage taken to cold with the help of Flask, Taste of Hate, and the properties on Watcher's Eye. The total conversion is about 50%, which is quite enough for comfortable gameplay given Svalin's defensive power. For a strong damage boost, the Timeless Javel Elegant Hybris is excellent. It also provides a Supremacy Station Keystone, which completely eliminates the need to worry about stats requirements on items. We solve the dot damage problem as follows: we get a chance to avoid poison using the implicit property on our boots plus on the jewels in our belt, giving us a total over 100% poison avoidance. We reduce the ignite duration by 85% using the Solar Berat in the Pantheon and the implicit property of any of the corrupted jewels. Immune to corrupted blood also from Javel or Flask, and immune to bleeding on Flask. We can get immunity to freezing from a large Pantheon or craft this property on boots. The only source of damage that's a problem with the Doryani stab is the lightning damage over time, but there is solution: Keystone Let's Shade, which allows you to halve the damage over time you receive in the first second. This allows us to survive a random encounter with the Menaciphonia or else avoid instantly dying to a Shaper's Beam. Also, a great source of defense for us will be a combination of Life Leech minions from Bone Barrier and Master of Insta-Leech located next to Eldritch Battery. I also recommended use increased area of effect support instead of single damage support gem on maps. The damage will still be sufficient and clearing will increase significantly. In the late game, you can replace the regular Stone Golem with an LT version, which will significantly increase survivability against melee attacks. When you get a huge HP regen boost on Animate Guardian with Stitch Demon Mask, you can lead them with Guardian Blessing and Zealotry. This will free up one of your aura slots. You can also add Generosity to this combination, which will greatly increase the aura's effect, as both of these effects are extremely useful for Innocence. The block gap can also be filled by using the Impossible Escape Javel, or by tanking block nodes near the Iron Reflexes, Versatile Combatant, or Blood Magic Keystones. You can also find on trade the amulet we need with corruption blocks, spells on attack damage, depending on what we're missing. Don't forget that buying ready-made 6-link armor with double corruption can be extremely expensive. It's much cheaper to buy or obtain the required non-linked armor from the Alva temple and craft it yourself at a workbench. For the early game, buy Bone Ring bases and craft Exile starting item yourself. Bone fossils with a small resonator can be used for this, and crafting will be very cheap. Also in the beginning, you can use the Hiding Hollow Effigy Amulet enchantment in combination with Lash of Oblation, having both of Flesh and Bone Offering, which will be a great early buff for you and your minions. You can view the Innocence, crit chance and crit multi in the calc section in the POB by specifying the desired parameters in the view skill details. You should also enter the Bottle Fate and Kinsmaker bonuses in custom modifiers, as POB won't include them in the final stats any other way. Hovering over the crit chance or crit multi column displays all sources of their increase. This way you can easily calculate the stats needed to achieve your desired crit chance and crit multi values. I don't really have much else to add regarding the build. Its main advantages include extremely versatility, comfortable gameplay that allows for minimal button and pot, and excellent potential for increasing damage and survivability. I apologize for the video issues in the first half of the video. This is my first time clearing and editing such a long video. I promise the quality of the content will improve in the future. Thank you for watching. I'm really looking forward to feedback with likes and especially comments with additions and questions, and I wish good luck to everyone starting on this and other builds in the new league.